Season 1, Episode 3, Connection Before Correction. Have you ever tried to reason with your child right in the middle of a meltdown? And it felt like absolutely nothing was getting through. You explain, you repeat yourself, you try to stay calm, then less calm, and somehow it only gets bigger. The crying gets louder, the shouting gets sharper, the whole moment starts to spiral. And you are left thinking, why is this not working? Because honestly, I will explain this beautifully. Remember, when a child is overwhelmed, what they need first is not more instruction. They need connection. They need help coming back to safety. They need to feel held. Hi, and welcome to Love Your Child. I am Nabeela Gangat, an educational psychologist, and this is a space for calmer, more connected, emotionally grounded parenting. In episode 2, we explored what your child's behavior may really be saying. We spoke about behavior as communication, and today we are taking that one step further. Because once we begin to understand behavior differently, we also begin to respond differently. Connection comes before correction. Not because boundaries do not matter, not because behavior does not matter, but because when a child is distressed, correction on its own usually cannot reach them. Many of us were taught to correct first, to stop the behavior quickly, to demand listening, to insist on respect, to restore order as fast as possible. But when a child is shouting, throwing, crying, refusing, or completely overwhelmed, our instinct is often to move in with, stop that, enough, calm down, listen to me, go to your room. And it makes sense that this is our instinct. When behavior feels chaotic, we want control. When emotions feel intense, we want them to stop. When we feel helpless, we often reach for correction. Sometimes with excellent intentions, sometimes with the kind of voice that says, you are now parenting from your final nerve. But here is the problem. A child in distress is not in the same brain state as a calm child. When a child is flooded with big emotion, the alarm system is highly activated. Their body moves into protection, and the thinking part of their brain, the part that helps with reasoning, problem solving, impulse control, and perspective taking, becomes much less available. So when we try to teach, lecture, or correct in the middle of their overwhelm, we are often asking for skills that are not fully online in that moment. That is why you can say the exact right thing and your child still cannot hear it. Not because they are unwilling, but because they are dysregulated. And that distinction matters. Because if we misread dysregulation as deliberate disobedience, we may become harsher at the exact moment when your child needs the most help regulating. Most needs help feeling held. This is where attachment theory and child development help us slow down. Donald Winnicott spoke about the importance of a holding environment. In simple language, children need more than physical care. They also need an emotional environment that feels steady enough to hold them when they feel overwhelmed. A child needs an adult who can help hold what feels too big for the child to hold alone. That is connection, not rescuing, not giving in to everything, but becoming a steady emotional presence when the child's inner world feels too much. Melanie Klein's work also helps us remember that children can experience their feelings as very big, intense, and frightening, long before they can understand or explain those feelings. A young child may not think I am overwhelmed and need help regulating. They may simply feel too much, and that feeling may come out as shouting, throwing, clinging, or refusing. So connection does something important. It helps the child feel, I am not alone with this big feeling. Someone is here. Someone is steady. Someone can help me come back. That is why connection comes before correction. Connection before correction does not mean there is no correction. It means sequence matters. First, safety, then regulation, then guidance. You might see this in a very ordinary moment. Your child is tired. Dinner is not what they wanted. Their sibling is nearby. You say one small thing and suddenly everything erupts. They shout, they cry, maybe they even throw something. Maybe they scream, I hate you. And your body reacts too. You feel disrespected, triggered, angry, embarrassed, humiliated. And right there, that is the fork in the road. Do we move in only with correction, or do we remember what your child's nervous system needs first? Connection begins with presence, not perfect words, not a perfect technique. Presence. Your tone, your face, your body, your ability to stay more regulated than the child in front of you. Sometimes connection might sound like, you are safe. I am here. I can see that this is really hard for you. Sometimes it sounds like, I won't let you throw that, but I am staying with you. Sometimes connection is not many words at all. It is the presence of your calm body, your softened voice, your willingness not to abandon the child to the storm. That is what it means to help your child feel held in distress. This is what co-regulation really looks like. Not fixing every feeling, not rescuing every frustration, but helping a child move through a big emotional state with your nervous system supporting theirs. Over time, children borrow our regulation until they slowly build their own. That is one of the hidden truths of parenting. Self-regulation does not grow in isolation. It grows out of being regulated with again and again in relationship. This is beautiful and also slightly inconvenient when the relationship is asking to build a skill while you are late for school drop-off. From an attachment perspective, this matters deeply because in moments of distress, children are not only managing emotion, they are also learning something about relationships. They are learning, what happens to me when I fall apart? Do I get shamed, punished, dismissed, left alone? Do I get given the silent treatment? Or do I get held, contained, guided back, and helped back to safety? That does not mean we smile through their aggression. It does not mean we allow harmful behavior. Connection is not permissiveness. Connection can be very boundaried. In fact, the most secure parenting often looks like warmth and firmness at the same time. I won't let you hit. I won't let you throw that. I'm going to help you stop. I can see that you are very upset. I am here. There is connection before correction. The limit is there, but the relationship stays there too. And that is part of what helps a child feel held even while being stopped. Sometimes parents worry that this approach means the child gets away with it. But connection first is not only about letting behavior slide. It is about making correction more effective. Because once a child has settled enough, then you can teach, then you can talk, Then you can say, throwing is not okay. Let's clean this up. Next time you can say, you are angry. Then the child is far more able to hear you because their brain is more available again. Think of it this way. Correction without connection often feels like a threat to your child. Connection before correction helps the child feel safe enough to learn, held enough to hear you, supported enough to come back to themselves. And this matters not only for toddlers or very young children. It matters through middle childhood too. Even older children who look more verbal, more capable, more independent, still become dysregulated. They still lose access to their best thinking when emotions run high. They still need adults who know how to anchor before they instruct. You may have seen this with, for example, a homework task. Your child is already frustrated. They cannot do the homework. You step in to help. They snap, they cry, they refuse, and your instinct may be to say, stop the attitude, you know this work, just do it. But if the child is already flooded with shame, frustration, or anxiety, correction first may make the whole experience worse. Connection might sound more like, this feels really hard right now. Let's slow it down. I am with you. Then, when the child begins to settle, guidance becomes possible. Or, for example, a bedtime routine. A child who suddenly becomes silly, wild, emotional, or oppositional right when the day is ending. It can look like boundary pushing. And yes, sometimes it is. But often it is a tired nervous system starting to unravel. The kind of unraveling that somehow includes running down the hallway in one sock while laughing and crying at the same time. And if we only come in with sharper correction, we may intensify the dysregulation instead of helping it settle. Connection first also protects the relationship, because when children repeatedly experience that their hardest moments are the moments when we become most rejecting, they may begin to hide distress or express it in more distorted ways, or expect conflict instead of comfort when they are struggling. But when hard moments are met with calm, containment, children begin to trust that relationships can hold emotion, that they do not have to be perfect to remain connected. This is powerful attachment work. This is what it means to be held through a hard moment. This does not mean you will always stay calm. You won't. You are human too. There will be days when the meltdown lands on your last nerve. Days when you are tired, overstimulated, carrying too much, and you correct too quickly. That does not mean the whole approach is lost. It means repair matters. You can come back. You can say, I was too sharp, I was too loud, you were having a hard time, and I got pulled into it. Let's try again. And even that teaches something beautiful to your child. That regulation can be lost and found again. That relationship can stretch and still return. That being held does not require perfection. So what does this look like in practice? It can be very simple. Pause before reacting, soften your tone, lower your body if needed, use fewer words, name what you see, name the feeling you see, hold the boundary calmly, wait for the storm to soften, then teach. Not all at once, not perfectly, but with mindful intention. And sometimes connection before correction begins inside you as a parent yourself. It begins with your own breath, your own pause, your own reminder. My child is distressed. I do not have to match their chaos. I can bring the calm. That inner shift changes what becomes possible, because often the calm you bring is part of what helps your child feel held enough to come back. Because in the end, children are far more likely to accept our guidance when they first feel our connection. Correction works best when it comes through relationship, not instead of relationship. So the next time your child is melting down, shouting, refusing, or completely overwhelmed, try remembering this. Connection first, then correction. Safety first, then teaching. Relationship first, then redirection. That sequence matters, and often it changes everything. Because children grow best when they feel held, and one of the deepest ways we help them feel held is by staying connected before we start correcting. Because children do better when they feel safe, seen, understood, and held. Before we end, a gentle note that this series is for educational purposes only. It is meant to support understanding and reflection, but it does not replace therapy, formal assessment, or individual psychological care. If you, your child, or anyone in your family is in immediate distress or in danger, please contact your local emergency services or go to the nearest emergency facility right away. Thank you for being here.